I'm Ben Weaver, Illinois attorney. I help folks buy and sell a house, and I also help folks with wills and trusts and other estate planning documents. And today, I'm here to talk about page 4 of the Illinois Real Estate Multi-Board Contract 8.0. There are 2 paragraphs on page 4 of this contract. They're both big ones. Page 4 starts out with paragraph 12. Paragraph 12 is prorations. So once you get to closing, how will the buyer and seller set up the real estate taxes, HOA assessments, any special assessments through the county that needs to be addressed? So there are 4 sub-paragraphs within paragraph 12. Paragraph 12A goes into real estate taxes. Now generally, Illinois has a funky way of calculating taxes. Everything's paid in arrears, so the seller has to give a credit at closing to the buyer for taxes. Taxes are always confusing. It's always difficult to explain it, and there's always a bit of researching what the county records have, how have the taxes increased over the past few years. But in general, the standard accepted calculation is that the tax bills that have not been released are calculated on 105% of the most recent tax bill. And it's a guess, but we try to figure out as best we can. So we look at county records to see if there are other extenuating circumstances. Maybe the county just reassessed the property, that sort of thing. Paragraph 12B goes into a brand new house. Say, for example, you're buying a brand new house and the county has not yet assessed the new value of the land and the house together. So paragraph 12B goes through the formula of how to put some money in escrow to make sure that once the house is assessed, that the property tax bill is calculated correctly to both buyer and seller. Paragraph 12C goes into HOA assessments. So if the seller is paying a regular assessment to an HOA, you put down the HOA amount in this paragraph. We confirm during attorney review, yes, that is the correct amount. If there are any secondary associations, maybe there's a master or an umbrella, we figure that out. And then at closing, the buyer will reimburse the seller for any HOA assessments that the seller has paid, and the buyer will enjoy the rest. So for example, if we're closing on, say, July 15th, the seller will pay the full HOA assessment on July 1st, and then at closing, the buyer will reimburse the seller from July 15th through the end of the month for that HOA. Now, paragraph 12D goes into any other, say, special assessments or special service area fees, basically trying to calculate outstanding amounts owed, and then they're going to work together to make sure that both the buyer and seller pay their fair share of that assessment. Following paragraph 12, who to guess it, we have paragraph 13. Paragraph 13 is the attorney review paragraph. Within 5 business days after the contract has been signed, the buyer's attorney and the seller's attorney have the opportunity to modify the contract as needed. Basically, it's always in the buyer and seller's best interest, if they're interested in this transaction, to sign the contract ASAP. If they're negotiating at, say, on a Saturday or Sunday, you don't want to pause everything and wait for an attorney to review the contract and say, yeah, oh yeah, it's okay to sign. You want to get that sucker signed and under contract as soon as you can. That's why paragraph 13 is in play, because it gives 5 business days to kind of slow down, take a look at the contract. Within 5 business days after the contract is signed, the buyer and seller have the opportunity to speak with an attorney and to modify it as needed. If either party has cold feet and they just say, hey, look, this isn't going to work out, we can cancel the contract, we can modify the contract. You can cancel the contract for any reason other than just the purchase price. Either modify the contract, cancel the contract, approve the contract as written. It happens sometimes. Sometimes the best thing to do is just get attorney review over and keep moving on. So there you have it. Page 4 of the Illinois Multi-Board Real Estate Contract. 2 paragraphs on that page. You have prorations and attorney review. Pretty simple, but 2 very important paragraphs. I'm Ben Weaver, Illinois attorney. I help folks buy and sell their house, and I also help folks with wills, trusts, and other estate planning documents. And I'll see you in the next video.